the Lord. I started class. So yeah, yesterday we talked about function. So I will said that functions are what are block of codes that are used to do a lot of things. So today we'll be talking about lambda. Lambda. So sorry, there's something called lambda in Python. So lambda, as I've said here, is a tiny functions. We said functions are defined using the def keyword, right? So lambda, sorry, it's not lambda, it's lambda is a tiny function that is written inside function. So if let's take for example, you write a function, then inside that function you still want to write or declare another function inside it. That's where lambda can now come in. Sorry for non-Nigerians that are listening to me. You can be like you will often hear me say lamba. It's not lamba. Oh. There's a street word called lamba in Nigeria, but that's not the lamba I'm talking about. We're talking about lambda. Eh. So let me explain what lambda means. Imagine you being um a, a you baking a cake, right? So what will you need for your cake? You will need your recipe, right? So that those recipes, they are like functions in Python. They tells what your cake will look like. Yes or yes. It is the kind of recipe that you use will determine the kind of cake you will have. If you use a strawberry flavor, you can never get chocolate. Or is it possible? It can be possible in Ile-Ife because kò sí nǹkan tí wọ́n lè ṣe náà ní Ile-Ife. Yes. So, but I can tell you for sure that in my state or your state that you come from, you cannot use strawberry flavor to do cake, and at the end turns out to be chocolate, or maybe unless maybe you do burnt offering. If you do burnt offering, that one is still accepted. So that is the way lambda and function is. So the recipe that you use to do your cake is like a function. But inside that recipe, there are some other things too that makes up a recipe. Like a complete, I think a complete collection of of ingredients make up a recipe. Then if it's not so, let us use it like that. If you bring baking powder, if you bring sugar, if you bring butter, if you bring flavor, if you bring yeast, if you bring cake pan, if you bring ororo, if you bring groundnut, or if you bring all of these things and combine them together, they are all a recipe. If you combine everything together, a recipe that you want to use to do what? Cake, right? So you now joining them, all of those pieces, joining them together. When they become whole, they'll become it will become what? A cake. So in function and lambda, function is the recipe. And what is recipe? Recipe is when you bring all of those your ingredients together and put them in one place. They are called function of a cake. Is that clear? That's why I use that cake as an example so that you can get it clearly. For a cake to be a cake, you will need ingredients. Yes or yes? At least you will need sugar. Some don't use sugar. You will need yeast. Some use industrial or flavoring sugar or whatever things. Some do butter. You have butter. Some add egg, right? Some add baking powder too. All of these things are one by one ingredient each, right? With their different names and different functions. Those are ingredients. But when you now combine all of those ingredients together into one place, they are called functions that will make a cake. Did you understand what I'm saying? So you bring 1 tablespoon of sugar, 1 tablespoon of honey, 1 tablespoon of flavor, 1 tablespoon of salt, yeast powder. You shall bring them one like required portion, right? Each of them are ingredients. Each of them are lambda. They are small small functions that are embedded inside the main functions. In case you want to do two functions, one bigger one, and inside the bigger one, you still want to declare another function. So to declare function inside function, that's where you'll be needing your lambda for. That's only thing we need lambda for. Do you understand? Did you guys get it clear? So combination of all of those ingredients that you combine together makes up for a function for a cake. The end product is the output, right? Right? That which will be a cake. But the function is the bringing together of all of these ingredients. So each ingredient are lambda. So that is basic way that I know that any layman can understand what lambda means. So why do we use lambda? Because it is very important for we to know why we use lambda. We use lambda because it is quick and easy. At least you cannot just carry a whole bag of sugar and use it to do 1 cup of cake. Who will eat it? Jẹ̀díjẹ̀dí tó máa pa ẹni náà, ó ń lọ níwájú ni. So because everything needs to be measured, everything needs to be measured. So it will make work quick and easy. So lambdas are perfect for small tasks that you only need to do once. And also they are also useful when you want to do inline functions. Like if you want to declare a function, you first of all write your def, your function name, then you do your bracket, column, you press enter, you do your print of what you want it to do before you now call your function. Eh, You see, that one has taken about 3 lines. Even if it is short, right? It has occupied 3 lines. But in lambda, you can just write them in one straight line. That is lambda for you. In lambda, you just write them in one straight line, and they are also very shorter than the main function because they are ingredients, a unit out of the what? Out of the whole function. Do we all get what lambda is? So you can write lambda directly where you need them instead of you defining them separately, right? So Lambda also works in functioning programming. They are often used in functioning programming, which is a style of programming that focuses on using of functions to solve problems. So how do you create a lambda? So to create a lambda, you just use the lambda keyword. We we always use def keyword to define a function, right? Now, in the case of lambda, to to use lambda, you have to define the word lambda to Lamd Lambda. So you just declare the lambda, then the argument and the expression. Those three things. Lambda, the keyword lambda must be there. The arguments. We talked about arguments yesterday, right? In function. Then the expression. So for example, here we see here that we had my lambda equal to lambda x. So let me write this. So let me quickly explain to us. So yeah, I declare I declare a variable called my lambda, which I can call anything, right? A variable name can be anything, right? I can call if I let me use Richard this time around. Richard as a variable. Richard. 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 So Richard is equal to lambda x. And I told you that for you to declare your lambda, you have to use what lambda as as the keyword, right? So lambda, then it takes in an argument. What argument are you putting? Which is what x. Then you now express yourself. So Richard here is a variable. So lambda here is a keyword. So the x is a what? Is a parameter. Is a parameter. So that means you are defining a lambda function, which is what x, and you want to say that okay, uh, anytime a value of x is given, you should what multiply it by what? By 2. And this is a what is is the expression of this lambda x. So that's the easiest way to declare or to write a lambda. So and if you do this, it will so let us quickly do an example, sir. So example one, example one. So let's declare a variable called x, or should we still use Richard? Okay, let's use Richard. Richard, our variable name called Richard. Richard is equal to what? Lambda. You know, we said that it must have lambda keyword, right? Then after it has lambda keyword, it should have an argument. Our argument is what? A. So what this means is that we want to save everything that is coming from this side into a variable called Richard. So once we are now calling, we will now call our Richard to see what the output we see will be like. But let's continue. So we have declared our argument to be A, right? Then I say that it must now have what? A semicolon. Normal. It's usually function usually have semicolon, right? So this one to also has a semicolon. So you put in a semicolon. Then after the semicolon, you now give your expression. So what do you want this A? What do you want this A to be? So we want A is associated with that any value that's given to A, you should add 10 plus it. That means A plus 10, right? A plus 10. So if you now print, you can now do print x. I'm coming. So what value should you now give x? Let's give 5. Sorry, it should be Richard. So this should now be Richard. So if you print this one out, you will see that. Let me comment this one out. Have you run it? Let's just run it. Let's see what the result will be. Can you see? It gave us 15. So it gave us 15 here. So we declared a variable called Richard. Then we give it a function which is a lambda function, lambda, then which has an argument a, and the expression for what is that any value given to a, yes, any value given to a, lambda it should add 10 to it. And here we give the value which is what? 5. If you change this value to 50, let's do example 2. Change your own. In your own, change it. to any value that you want. Hmm? No, no, you can copy it and paste it. Example two. Me, I'm putting 50 in my own. So if I run it, you will see that it will give us 60. Can you see? It gave us 60 in my own. 50, 60, and 15. So um that is that about lambda. Then you can do multiplication in lambda. You can do multiplication. You can multiply arguments, then you can add our arguments to you can multiply arguments with an argument that will return the result. So in this example, let's do example let's do example let's do example 3. So let's change our variable to x. So x will now be, so we're giving it two parameters here. Just same thing as we said about function, that you can give it as many parameters as possible, but just know that when you're calling back, you should also call um the same number of parameter, right? No, is it parameter? A function. If you are defining a function, you give um yeah, sure. The argument. So the number of arguments will be the same number of argument that you call back, right? So we have two arguments here, A and B, right? So here we are not saying that okay, you should do what? A multiply by, so whatever is the value of A should be multiplied by whatever is the value of B. But yeah, if you pass one parameter here, it will throw you error because you have defined two, you have declared two arguments already, and you are giving one. Let us even try it if it will work. In You have declared two parameters here, and you are giving yeah, um I call this I call this one argument. Hmm? This is the argument. This is the parameter you are giving to the argument. So at times VS Code tells you that this is a parameter, right? Which is also calls this one to parameter. So what will you call this one? If you call this one argument, if you call this one parameter, did you get the point? So this is your argument. This is the parameter you are giving. Hmm? It's too bright. It should be brighter. I can hear you, bro. I didn't hear you. Yes, the x is a variable. X here, if you over on it, can you see? It's a variable that defines the x, and it can take, see, it can take any number. Because we declared that a, we given two arguments, a and b, and it was said here that a can be anything, b can be anything. So whatever parameter you now set to a should be put here. Did you get the point? But VS Code will tell you that this one is a parameter, this one is also a parameter, and this one is also a parameter. But we know that this one is an argument, right? So we are trying to let you know that if you declare two arguments here, and you put one parameter here, it will not work. But let's try and see if it will work or not. So if you run your code, yo, it ran in. Why? Because we are using let me comment this ones out. Let's see if it will. Oh, can you see? It's taking the it's taking the Richard parameters from here. That's why it makes it to run here. Did you get it? So I made mistake here. This is not supposed to be Richard. It's supposed to be what? X. Oh, it's supposed to be X. It's supposed to be X. Yeah, exactly. So comment are one of the things that I use to check. Actually, maybe when your code is not working fine, or maybe when something is happening to your code, I I I can beat my chest to it that it will definitely throw you an error. Can you see? It threw you an error. Maybe you should slide and like okay, you want to be typing at me. Okay, okay. So I can bet you that it will throw you an error. Can you see? And it actually did. Why? Because it says here that what missing one positional argument B. Okay, I think these guys are right. This one is parameter, and this one is the argument that you are passing. So it says that it needs the argument for B. So it has automatically assigned 5 to A. Did you get the point? Yeah, that's why I'm saying that any value that we put here should be multiplied by any value that B has, but it cannot find the value for B. That's why it threw an error. But let's now put in any value for B, which is what? Let's put 8 and save it and we run it. You will see that can you see now? It gave us what? 40, which is what? 5 times 8. So it has automatically stored 5 inside A and 8 inside B. So let's now can you see that our x, if you highlight x, it has now come in form of what? Of a variable. Can you see it? Can you see it? So that's why lambda is very very fast. Instead of us doing three lines of code, that we will still need to either come down here and call our x. If you are writing functions, so you now call your x and now do like this, right? Before it will now work. Instead of us doing all of these ones, so lambda allows you to do this. So this is the simple thing about lambda, and lambda has various functions. And as I've told you, it operates like how um how functions also works. Any question before we go ahead? Okay. So in the absence of no, so let's go to the next topic, which is what? What's our next topic? Python arrays. Python arrays. So you can also try it out. Try it out. Try it out. Try one example out. Python arrays. What actually are Python arrays? So arrays are used to store multiple values. What did I say? Arrays are used to store multiple values. Multiple values. Multiple values. So they are ordered and changeable, meaning that you can add or remove items after the array has been created. Did you get what I tried to say? So arrays are used to store multiple values. For example, in Python we have list. Okay, let's use data type. We have strings, right? We have integers. we have floats. We also have something called boolean values too, which can take true or false. So all of those ones too, when you combine all of those ones inside one list, you have just done what? An array. If you have a list that has an integer, that has a float, at the same time that has a string, that has uh, a, a boolean value, that has a tuple, that has a dictionary. Did you get the point? Everything in one list that has a range. So if you combine all of those things together, they are of different characters. It's like you bring in Yoruba, Igbo, Hausa, Chinese, Indians, you get Ukrainians, bringing all of them together in one house. They are different people with different characteristics and different techniques and cultural backgrounds. So you bring in all of them together, put them inside one room. So that room is called what? An array of people. I think that explanation makes it clearer, right? So once you use a multiple values that has different identity in a single, maybe list, tuple, maybe dictionary, you have done an array. So and this kind of stuff, they can be ordered, they can be unordered. It doesn't matter. Maybe you follow ascending order. It doesn't matter if it follows descending order. It doesn't even matter if it can be changed. You can change it because there are some kinds of, is it tuple or that you cannot change, that is immutable. Is that one of two? Is that tuple that is immutable? I know you can change dictionary, but is that tuple that is immutable, that you cannot change? But this kind of array, you can change it. That means you can add. Hmm, it is tuple. So once you have declared a tuple, you cannot change it. But an array, you can change it, you can add, and you can also remove items after the array has been created. And arrays are defined by placing all items, which can be elements, inside a square bracket. You see that's why I'm saying list, 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 list. That's why I was saying list. So, and once you are doing anything list, you should know that the first thing that comes to your mind is what? It is square bracket. But once you start using this curly bracket that now has key and value, you have started using what? Dictionary. So you should be able to identify those things differently. So there's another one that uses round brackets too. So you should be able to define and differentiate them. But once you put a lot of things inside a square bracket, you have done what? An array. And each of the items are separated by comma. For example, if you write the word dotun inside a list, dotun is a string, right? If you put comma, you now put 40. 40 is a number, right? Which is quite totally different from a string. Then you now put comma, you now put dictionary word, which is age, column, dot, dot, 20. That one has already become a dictionary, right? You now put another comma, you now put float, 0.02. You get that point? So different characters, you now cover everything with a square bracket. You now give it a variable. The variable equal to that. So you have declared what? An array. So array does not have a particular order. You can form them the way you like. You can put anyone in front, put anyone in back. You can remove anyone. You can add anyone. Anything you like. That is the characteristics of an array. They can be useful, especially when you want to do some things, write some codes in Python. So that's why you need to know about them. So an array are order. Arrays are usually ordered, meaning that items have a definite. You want to say you want to ask something? Okay, arrays are ordered, meaning that items have a definite order and can be accessed by their index or key value. So you can pick up a particular thing using indexes. Indexes that you that you that you say, okay, what is the value of Lincoln in the list? You get, if we arrange it from Richard, Lincoln, me, and Dotun, what is the value of Lincoln if we start from Richard? That would be one, right? That is indexing. So that means array also collects what accept you to index. Did you get the point? Are we all following the point? So arrays are changeable, meaning that you can add or remove items after the arrays have been created. Arrays are used to store multiple values in a single variable, right? They are ordered, they can be changeable, you can remove them, and you cannot. So let's quickly define an array. For example, let's declare a list of cars which is equal to what? Um, Ford, Volvo, BMW. So if you want to see car, you just do print cars. So these ones are, you see that we have different kinds of cars that are stored inside a variable called car. So Ford is another maker, right? Volvo is another maker. BMW is another maker, right? So, but all of these ones are what are what are their array. So I want to let me declare a dictionary which is age for 23, age equal to 23. Yeah. So yeah. So if you do this, you gonna let me remove this. So you print cars. Let's see if it will run. So it ran. So um we have our values already. So um how do we access the element of an array? It's still the same way that we do indexes, right? You can do indexes. Let's say we want to get as let's say we want to get, if we do two now, which one will it give us in this array? Which will it give us if I do index of two? Yeah, BMW. That's it. So if you run it, can you see it give us what? BMW. That means you can also do indexes in Python array. So that is little, and you can also check their length too. You can do print length of, let me do um print length of what? Length of cars, right? Which is len, open bracket, what? Cars, Okay, let me try if this could be run. I'm not sure if it will run, but let me check. I said it. It did not run because it did not. The initial bet is not what subscriptable. I'm just trying to check out. Uh, I want to check. Yes, explore if it will work. So, but let's now run it. It will definitely give us six. So that means the length of the things inside this cars are what as is which we were one, two, three, four, five, six. But if you must do indexes, you know that it will not be six, it will be five. So yeah. That is that. So you can also look through an array using the default function. For example, if you do for for I, okay, let me do it this way. For I in okay, can you see this function? We want to loop through this car. Then we are using for function for I, and I told you that your I can be anything, any name. It's a variable. A variable can be anything, right? So, and I told you earlier that during our for statement that these variables are usually messenger that we send an errand to go inside a particular variable that we have declared to go and begin to look through. So if it goes there and it sees the first item, it will print it out. Did you get the point? It will go back again as the messenger. It will go there once it see another thing that is different from the thing that it saw the first time. It will bring it out and still go back. That's how it will continue to go back and forth until it does not see anything new again. That's the way it functions. For example, Lekon, you have a junior brother, right? Which is like 6 years old, and you have a room. And in your room, you put about six cheese balls in your room, right? You now call your brother. Let's say the name of your brother is Tambolo. I say for Tambolo in range room, you should print out whatever thing he sees in your room. So each time Tambolo enters your room and see anything, he will come outside and print it out. He will go back again and bring another cheeseball. He will bring it out. He will go back again, print it out. That's how Tambolo will go until everything he sees inside your room is what is being displayed out. That's how four functions or for loops works. So and these things can be used for penetration testing a lot, which I pray that we will get there. Can you see that? When we run our loop now, each time it goes in there, it gave us what is in the in the stuff. So it gave us six first, then it gave us Ford, Volvo, right? BMW, 30, 40, and what? 55. So that's the way four functions work. So um that is that about what we'll be talking about in array today, which though there are quite other things that you can also read up to for, like for example, you can read about adding of array elements, you can read about removing of array elements, you can also read about array method. There are various methods that you use, like the append method, the clear method, the copy method, the count method, the extend method. If you check your notebook, they are all there, and you can also check more online to get there. So let's quickly move again because of our time. Let's move to another topic. Our next topic. What's our next topic, everybody? What did you say? Python classes and object. So yeah. Let me have your phone. This one is not opening up. Python classes, right? Python classes and objects. So yeah, let me have this. So what are Python classes? Let me see if this one will work. So Python classes an object. Python is an object-oriented programming language, as you have known, right? Yes or yes, everybody. So and there is no interview about Python that you will do, and you will not see, you will not find um this question. You will not find this question. There's no Python class that you will do that you will not find this question. So Python is an OOP, which is what? Object oriented programming, right? Programming language. That means you can do you can write things in accordance to object, then the orientation aspect of it, and almost everything in Python is an object, which with its properties and methods. So a class is like an is like an object constructor or a blueprint for creating an object. So what is a class? So how do you even create a class? So to create a class, you use the keyword class. What did I say? To create a class in Python, you have to use the keyword class. So and let's create a class and name it what? My class with the property X, and um we print out the class, right? Are we cool? Okay, let's first of all create a class, which is what? Let's create a let's create a class class, which is what? My class. Then it takes this argument in then you have to indent, which you can declare that x is equal to what? Equal to 5. So let's see if we can print. Let's do print what? Print, what should we print? Is it class or x? Okay, now let's say that. Let's see if it will run. You know me, I like doing experiments. Let's try it. Let's see. Hmm? I- yeah, let me comment them. I think every other one I comment on like this. Let me comment this. Okay, what other ones? So, hmm? Why? So which and which are we going to call? You guys didn't answer me. Which and which are we supposed to call? Let's try my class, right? So can you see now? It prints what? It printed um class object, which is what? My class. So so for you to create a class, you have to create an object as well. So how do you now create objects? So to create an object, now we can use the class name, which is my class, to now create an object. That's why we call it object oriented programming. You have to understand this keyword very well. So maybe by next week I will explain this part very well, because it is one of the most critical parts in Python, which you will not do without you not seeing it, right? Yes. Any question before we move forward? Any question? Yes, you will get to know later. You will get to know later. I will explain, okay? So can you see now when we printed out p1 dot x, it gave us what? 5, right? So let me pause here for today. So this is almost 3:30. It's even 3:30 already. So let me pause it today. So next time that we will meet, I will deeply talk about what um object oriented programming. I don't want to rush it because if I explain it now, you guys are fatigued already. Okay.